Good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday, May 7th, 2008 edition of the Investigative Journal. I'm your host, Greg Szymanski, and I will be here for the next 2 hours, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. every day, live on LibertyRadioLive.com. That's LibertyRadioLive.com. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been going through several pre-recorded CDs by Walter J. Veith, and I've done that because people have asked me to do it, and they want to hear more. And I've played one called Secrets Behind the Secret Societies, and then I also did one called Hidden Agendas. Today, after this brief introduction and in several points I want to discuss, I'm going to play the Battle of the Bibles. People asked me to do this yesterday, and it's going to be an interesting one to see how the Vatican has changed the Word of God, how they've used it to abuse the Word of God, and how they've used it to implement another step in their plan for a one-world government in one world order. But before I get to that, let's talk a little bit about the nitty-gritty, what's going on right here in fascist America, and how the Jesuits are working their little tricks, even on people like me and others who are trying to tell the truth about the Jesuit and the Vatican, and basically that's my main concern. I want to get out the information regarding the Jesuit order, how they infiltrate our country, how they work for Lucifer, and how they've taken over our media, and how they have agents all over this country spreading all kinds of nonsense. Now, yesterday I presented a story on my website, and that was regarding true patriot Slats Grobnik coming to the rescue and outing and giving his side of this story about this Jesuit Coadjutor, and I'll use that term now, Leo Zagami, who infiltrated my show and now claims to be the head Illuminati master of Europe and America. And Slats came forward and gave a great conversation with me about this. And so, of course, I get emails, and both pro and con. And I got one email questioning, and I'll just paraphrase this, who is this guy, Slats Grobnik? Is he for real? And I say this, and instead of answering all those emails and long questions, listen to what I tell you right now. Slats Grobnik is as real as the people he talks about. George Bush, Leo Zagami, the Black Pope, Hillary Clinton, all the people in our government, like John Kerry, did I say the Pope? And all these people, yes, he is as real as those people. Because the real fictional characters that are talking to us in the media and on the radio and on TV are the people I mentioned. That is George Bush, Leo Zagami, and Hillary Clinton, and the Pope, and the Black Pope. Because the way they represent themselves to us is pure fiction. Because behind the scenes what they really are is something completely different. And so when you ask me, is Slats Grobnik for real? I say he's more real than the people he writes about. And that is my statement on Slats Grobnik. Now, let's go a little deeper here into Zagami. Just one point. Now, this is out of his mouth. I didn't say it. He did. And I got some emails. He keeps sending me emails that he's of the shows he's on, the people that are presenting his views, and that's fine. It's America. Go ahead and spread your nonsense to others. I'm not going to do it here anymore. And if people want to follow him, that's up to you. But I told you my side of the story. I'm not going to go over it again. I believe he's a Jesuit Coadjutor because he once claimed to be a bogus Muslim and an ex-Illuminati high-level 33-degree Mason, and now claims to be a bogus Christian and a Grand Master of the U.S. and European Illuminati. So there you go, a chameleon. A typical Jesuit Coadjutor trying to confuse everybody. But he sends me these emails, and he sent me an email that he sent to somebody named Max Eyendorn. And apparently this guy must be connected to the Gulen movement where he used to be involved with the Muslims. Now, if you understand the way the Jesuits work, they probably control that also. So listen to what he says in this email, and it's out of his words. So he is telling you, and he's also spreading violence. And I said one way to check out a real Jesuit coadjutor is especially when they say they're fighting the Jesuits, is when they try to lead you into extremism, lead you into, like Craig Oxley when he says he wants to do away with the Pope. You know, that's a tip-off. I don't want to associate with people like that. And I don't want to associate with people like Zagami, especially when he, in his own words, tells you who he is. And this is in regards to, apparently the Gulen movement has, he got embroiled in this domestic problem with his wife and child. And unfortunately, they have to be drug into this. You know, there are many people who go through domestic problems. But anyway, he's brought this into his whole situation here, which to me is a little bit suspect as well. But anyway, he writes to the Gulen movement and someone there. And like I said, they're probably controlled by the Jesuits too, because as we say, they control both sides of the argument. The thesis, the antithesis, and then rub those two together like Walter Weiss says, and you get the synthesis, the movement which they want. That's Hegelian principles, which we all know about. You can find that in Webster's dictionary, but that's how they operate. But anyway, listen to what he says, and he tells you who he is. And so if you want to follow him, go right ahead. And he also is inciting violence. And I can't believe this. But here, he sends me the email, so I might as well repeat it to you so you know who you're dealing with. He says, sorry if I repeat myself. This is Leo talking to Max Elandorn. I can't pronounce it properly, but he must be involved somewhere in Norway with these Gulen movement, Muslim movement. And he says, sorry if I repeat myself, but eventually you will pay for this great sin, my dear Gulen movement. I can't believe you still don't realize what kind of enemy you have made for yourself. Now I'm against you, my dear Murat, as I'm back in the Monte Carlo Lodge now, the Monte Carlo P2 Lodge. But soon you will realize your great mistake as you never, and he uses a nice four-letter word, and I'll just clean it up a little bit, screw around with people like me from the Sicilian Knights Templar. Now, I'll paraphrase here. We know the Knights Templars went underground and became the Jesuit order. So he is telling us he's with the Jesuit order. As you can get killed or tortured at any time, and this is Zagami speaking, by my Freemason agents all over the world, including your wonderful Turkey. So he's talking to somebody in Turkey. And you know that, including your wonderful, and you know that very well to be true, as we still control you, secret police and your military. Thanks. God, so prepare yourself, as I'm not joking, I'm declaring war on your corrupt movement with the help of Freemasons and Templars worldwide if you don't give me back my son as soon as possible and get a proper official apology and possibly a dialogue. Do yourself a favor before it is too late. So he tells you basically he's a Freemason. His brothers still control everything. He's going to do away with them. He's a Knights Templar. And at the end of his little message, he writes, best regards, Leo Lion Zagami, and he puts CIA rules. Now, if that doesn't tell you who he is, and you guys want to, go back and forth, that's fine. People that are still following him, that's fine, but I am disassociating myself with this, and people say, well, why did you talk to him for a year? And I said, well, for a year, he gave a lot of good information, and, I believe it's important to get the true story out. And so if the story happens to change because you figure out how these Jesuits operate, so be it. We're the better for it. But once they really show their true colors, then it's up to you to make your own mind up. And I made my own mind up, and that's it. So, enough about that. Before I get to Walter Weiss, let me just give you a general statement concerning the Jesuit order. And this comes from I'm just going to read this very quickly. And this comes from a website called Jesuit Love, so we know what we're dealing with here. And they say, for 400 years, the great Jesuit army has been fighting their covert war for absolute control of the world. A masterful army of spies and assassins they have, in the past, been expelled from every country in Europe. They have arranged nearly every war in the last 300 years. They have initiated the U.S. Civil War to transform the United States into a central control tool of their conquest of the world. They have placed Hitler in power, Stalin in power, Mao in power, Pol Pot in power, and many more Inquisitionists throughout the world's history. They now use the United States to perpetuate inquisitions as they did in Korea and Vietnam, as they are doing again with Iraq. Yes, as they're doing again with Iraq, folks, and don't forget it. The goal is simple and glorious: a one world government, a new world order, with the Pope on the throne and the Jesuit general in control of the Pope and the empire of the world. Secret services such as the CIA, the KGB, MI6 are controlled by them. Presidents are elected, and popes and presidents are killed by them. They are the army of the Vatican in control of the Vatican. They hide behind secret societies which they control, and corporations they own, like Microsoft, Bank of America, Lockheed, and many more. Now, as previous Jesuit General Tamburini once said, quote, "See, sir, from this chamber I govern not only Paris but China, not only China but the whole of the world, without anyone knowing how I do it." The end of the fabricated Cold War, again, was marked by a turning point in the careful fight waged over the last 400 years and more years by the Jesuit Brotherhood. The long-awaited New World Order is upon us. In America, absolute control of the world via Holy Roman Empire, ISIS, Horus, Set, is no longer a secret necessary to maintain. They tell you straightforward now. Look at their symbols. Look at the Freemasons. Look at their agents. Let the truth be told that the world belongs to the Black Pope. The Jesuit Brotherhood is now in the phase of consolidation. The ever-heretical United States and Canada will soon be the hollow grounds for the Inquisition. And I mentioned this. Remember Cardinal Archbishop William Levada, the first Inquisition head, the head of the Inquisition, Office of Inquisition for the Vatican, the first American to head that office when Ratzinger became Pope. And it's now called the Office of the Doctrine of the Faith. It's the same office. And remember that 2-minute interview I had with him? I showed you that clip where he said, he admitted that they track heretics. And what a heretic is someone who doesn't follow the Pope, and the sentence for a heretic under canon law is death, and it's not murder, because in canon law it states if you don't follow the temporal or the spiritual power of the Pope, killing one is wise, and it's not murder. And he says, yes, we do track them in America. However, they come to us through their radio shows, through their books, through their writings. So yes, anybody who's talking against the Pope now is is put on a list in San Francisco with the Inquisitor, Mr. Levada. So we better get these guys out of this country. I swear to God, we have no other choice. So let's get them out. At least try to get them out. Expose them at least. It's getting ridiculous. No less, then it says this: the Jesuit Brotherhood is now in a phase of consolidation. The ever-heretical United States and Canada will soon be the hallowed grounds for the Inquisition, no less through them than those of the past under Jesuit servants, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and many others. The cleansing will be complete this time. The Protestants will convert or be annihilated. The freedoms will be destroyed, as subservience to the Jesuit general is no longer a privilege, but a requirement. And I said, the Jesuit general is supposed to be in office his entire life, and only a couple have left prior to that. One was the recent Father Kolvenbach, and I think he did that because he's in the Middle East now, and he's kind of like working undercover. So they got two Jesuit generals working, one on the surface, Alfonso, Nicholas, and now we got Kolvenbach working under the table, because this is a huge job for them to orchestrate both the Middle East war, America. They got a lot on their plate here to get this thing rolling. And so we got Kolvenbach. You think he's going to retire at 80? The guy's going to put his last breath into this New World Order thing. And he's over there working hard to make sure more people get killed and this thing goes on as they plan. The non-believers, of course, will be slain for the greater good and greater glory of the Jesuit-controlled Vatican Empire. Jesuit-controlled actors like Bush, Gore, let's put in a few of my own, Zagami, Tex Mars, Alex Jones, Alan Watt. The list goes on and on and on, because they do not deal directly with the problem, or they twist it around, or one way or another try to control everything. And those guys are involved just like Gore, Bush, and the rest of them. And heck, Let's throw Horowitz in there. Let's throw Icke, David Icke. Yeah, of course him, the reptilian genius. And then we have Gore. Who did I say? Leonard Horowitz. Yeah, he's the Knights of Hospitaller, Knight of Malta. He says he's not, but it's that double talk again. But anyway, he's one of them. So